So we'll be starting in 2 minutes. Hey everyone, I heartily welcome you all to the fourth episode of Product Matters, India's largest student-run product event. Today's session is about getting internships and building parallel projects. Knowledge is of no value unless it is applied. Internships and projects are an integral part to your learning journey as a young product manager. But how to get those internships and build some parallel projects as well becomes a huge concern. So today we have the perfect man with us to answer these questions, Mr. Sai Bhaskar, Product Manager at Upraised, India's largest upskilling platform for product managers. Sir has completed his BTech in Electrical and Electronics Engineering and is an alumnus of IIT Guwahati. He is the ex-convener of our ECEL and is the one credited for starting product culture at our ECEL. Apart from this, Sir was also a judge at a flagship event, PMX. At Upraised, he has used his entrepreneurial and problem-solving skills to build a platform for young entrepreneurs to hone their skills and have a great journey in product management. Sir has also built a various number of projects, including Buy Me a Book, Wordle Stats, and Copier, which was also the number one product of the day on Product Hunt upon its release. So get ready for a fruitful session and get all your doubts cleared. Handing it over to you, sir.
Hey, hi Mohit. Thank you guys. Thank you for having me, and thanks for this wonderful intro. So you guys can see my screen, right? Uh,
Yes, sir.
can
We can.
Awesome, awesome. So I'm just cautionary alert that I've kept my slides very simple. I just wanted to talk more rather than show more. So if you have any questions at any point of time, just feel free to raise your hand and ask questions. So like today, my the entire talk I focus mostly on the side projects. And I'll tell you why exactly you need to do side projects and all these things. So before we just jump into a just brief intro, I think most of the points Mohit has already covered. I was head of ETHL and Sepstrum, during my time at IIT Guwahati. I've graduated in 2019 and worked as software engineer at Citi for approximately 2 years, and then I transitioned into product management at Upraised. Uh, Apart from that, I love building side projects, and I've launched around 5 projects in the last year. I'll talk about each of them in the process. So that is about me. So firstly, the topic is about side projects. So I wanted to talk to you, like, what are side projects? What exactly does it mean? So side projects are something that you do apart from your original work, studies, or education, or job. So anything that you do apart from your main stream of work is side project, and it can be as small as blog, newsletter, YouTube channel, to running a SaaS product or any small business. And one main criteria for a side project is you shouldn't require a lot of time or effort from your side. It should be very minimal, which you can easily handle along with your full-time work, right? So if you dig deeper, most of the big companies are started as side projects. Apple, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Unacademy, and many, many more. So every company, the founders used to be working at some other company. If you know, Steve Jobs was working at some gaming company while he and was building Apple. Facebook, like Mark Zuckerberg, has built it while he was a student. Instagram has been built by him, Reed Hastings, where he was at some other company as a product manager. So every single company that you see don't directly start their startup journey. They just build it as a side project, see how people are using it, understand them, and then once they build the conviction, they go ahead and make a startup out of it. So why exactly side projects and why exactly for you, right? So as a journey towards product management is very difficult, I would say, because generally people expect for product managers to have business knowledge, to have end-to-end knowledge of so many things. But as a student, you have just explored one part of it. It might be engineering, it might be design, or it might be business. But all the companies have the requirement of you having knowledge from so many things, and they can't build conviction on you until and unless you show them that you have everything, right? So building side projects and showing it to people helps you uh, get more opportunities, right? So let's say there are two kinds of people. One person who is some, let's say, software engineer at some XYZ company, and he or she only knows software engineering, right? And let's say on the other side, you are a student who also knows engineering, but apart from that, you have built or shipped one or two projects. So now for a company, they will see at both of your profiles, and they fix that, okay, like, one candidate is there who is strong at one particular area, but we don't know what are the other kind of, what skills they have or she has. But when it comes to your profile, if you build side projects, right? So people will immediately understand, okay, the particular person have built a project end to end. So the person knows how to ideate a project, build a project, execute, impact, and iterate again on top of that. So it's kind of like you're showing proof of work to the people whom you want to recruit, right? So many benefits. First one, you can learn skills while you're building projects. So every project requires multiple skills. So you will learn them while you're building, and it is always fun to build new thing and see its impact, right? And then it can act as a proof of work for you. So anyone, you just imagine that you have built a project and people started using it. And wherever you go, people will say that, the person have built this XYZ tool and I'm using it and it's so much fun to use. So people will right away understand that you have the skills for them to recruit you. So there is this one rule called 99-1 rule. So out of 100% students, right, 90% students only learn. They don't contribute to anything. They won't build anything. And there is 9% of people who are on the midway. They want to contribute, but they're not good enough to contribute. And there is 1% people who actually contribute to this. So if you want to be recruited by any company, you need to be in that 1% bucket where people looking at your profile immediately understand this is 1% profile I'm looking at, right? And when you build side projects, you build a network around each project, because you are going to talk to many people and many people are going to use your project. So the network you're going to build is very valuable. And once you build projects and ship them, when people notices them, right, they automatically send you opportunities, right? So for example, I have built this one Chrome extension called Copier. And when I've launched it, I have not seen a lot of people using it and all. But after a few days, people reached out to me asking that, see, like, we as a company want to build similar extension, but we don't have any people who can build it. Can you build it for me? Right? And people used to ask me, and people paid me to build Chrome extensions for them. Right? So if you build projects and ask entire network is looking at it, people will come opportunities to you. So that is why you need to, do side projects. So, the other, like when you think of side projects, there are multiple questions, right? How to build one, like how to get ideas, or how generally should I go about building side projects? So the first important thing is you need to observe your daily activities, right? So when I say daily activities, it means when you're writing some content, or when you're interacting with your laptop, or when you're doing anything in your hostel or in your education, see, are there any problems that you want to solve? Is there anything that you are, is something that clicks, this is working, I need to solve this, right? If I say an example, just okay. So this is the tool I've built previously. So this particular tool, this I've built like last year, somewhere around March. This is the time when I am actually trying to transition into product management, and I'm applying to an XYZ, like so many companies, like every day 10, 15 companies I'm applying on their career portals. And in every single career portal, they were asking me to share my LinkedIn, right? And LinkedIn profile is very common, and people asks me every single time to, share your LinkedIn profile in the text box. Now, every time someone asks LinkedIn profile, I can't type it right. So I'll just go to my LinkedIn, open my profile, copy the link, come back to the website and paste. So I thought, it's taking a lot of time. Why don't I build a small Chrome extension, which will, which with just keyboard shortcuts, I can copy it. So I've built this copier tool, which, with a shortcut, it opens, and you can click on any shortcut and it pastes it. And once you paste, your LinkedIn profile is here. So this is very simple, idea that I wanted to solve. This is out of my experience, right? Like, and when I shared this with my friends, people were like, "Yeah, I am facing the same problem. Let me use it." And slowly, many people started using it. And once I got conviction, right? Yeah, these people are using. I built it for scale, and I've shared it on multiple platforms. So this is one way of you getting ideas. Any problem you are facing, that is a good way to get problem ideas. And second thing, multiple people write on Twitter or on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn that they're facing the XYZ problem. So when you read these problems, think from a solution perspective, whether can you build anything that can be of use, right? Or when you talk to your friends, they might tell you some problems that they are facing. That is also one good source of, ideas you can get. And so if you do this correctly, you'll get a lot of ideas in a span of like say 10, 15 days, but you can't build every single one of them. So the key to build and ship a side project is to focus on one problem at a time. Don't club 10, 15 problems and make it a startup idea. Just keep it simple. Only solve one problem. Once you solve it correctly and people are using it, then only go and solve for the next project, next idea, right? And the next big question is, how to build it. And there are so many questions on top of that. Like as you are a product manager, you might not be knowing how to code, and there are multiple ways to do it. And also, first simple rule is, if you can't build anything in 2 weeks, don't take it as a side project. Because there is this one concept where when you get an idea, the enthusiasm is 100%, but with time your enthusiasm decreases to 50%, 40%, and after a point you just don't want to work on the idea. And this is not how side projects work. You have to scope down the problem for only 2 weeks. So if you have any idea, just think whether it can be built in 2 weeks or not. If it can't, just ignore the idea, go for the next idea. That is one important rule, and I've seen it multiple times with multiple people. If you can't build anything in 2 weeks, don't take it up, right? And second thing, don't include a lot of dependencies. So just for the purpose of thinking that this can be big, don't ask your friend to join the company, join the project. If you know that the other person is giving you a lot of value, only then bring them in. Otherwise, don't. It's always better. Less the people, the easiest to build the project, right? And the biggest question: should we follow code or should we follow no code? So again, it depends on the problem and the solution you're thinking of. If you know coding, then well and good, go for the coding route because you already know it. If you don't know coding, try to get people who know coding. When I say get people on board, you need to convince them that your idea is good, that it's worth their time, right? If you don't find any people, then I would suggest you to talk to experts who can help you with uh, sharing resources or easiest way to build this, correct? And the most common way is to start learning. I have seen multiple people who will say that I have this idea, let me start learning code, let learn coding and then build it. But the problem they face is when they start learning, they don't understand how to build the project that they want to build. So my suggestion to all those kind of people is you start learning, but parallelly try to build. Otherwise, you will lose interest in both the things, in learning also in building the project as well, right? And and there is an alternative way if you don't know coding, right? There is this so many no code tools that are coming up in the market. So you can use any one of the tool, and the development time reduces from like say 1 week to just 10 hours or 8 hours, right? So there are tools like software which makes it easy to create marketplaces, and there's this tool called Webflow which is just simple as designing the website and it is live. Bubble, Glide apps, Retool. So there are multiple tools which will you know uh, for each use case you can select a tool, and that particular tool can build it. For example, if you see, there is this one game called Wordle that got very famous some time back. And in the Wordle, there is no social element to it. So what we thought was, like when I'm playing with this my friends, I want to see how my friends are doing against mine. So we have built a simple retool. The one that you see is a retool dashboard. We have just added a Twitter API to it, and whenever you write something, it comes up as a graph. See, like right now, it's not working, but you can see the leaderboard across people, and you can see the graphs and all. And we built it literally in 2 hours, and we shipped it in 3 hours. So building tools with no code is as simple as this. And there is a list I've added in the PPT. So I'll share this with you after the call. So you can see there are like multiple number of tools with each explanation and what kind of category it comes and all. So you can go through this for any kind of idea. You can just find one tool that you can use. And as a product manager, right, wherever you go, so there will be multiple cases where engineers and designers will ask you to validate the idea before they go and design and build and execute the thing. So in those cases, you can use these no-code tools to build simple web pages or simple tools, ask the user to use it and understand whether it's solving the problem or not. And that will help you in your original projects as well, right? So no code is important, and you can just follow this. Next is, how do you want to launch it? Like, how do you launch the projects? This is the most important step because building will just help you learn the skills, all these things. But until and unless you launch it, you can't see the benefits that it creates for you. So I follow this particular order, if you see. So first, whatever project I build, right, I share it with my friends. I talk to them on mobile or video calls, ask them to use it, understand whether it's working for them or not, right? I'll do typically this for like 2-3 days, and once I ask my friends, once I incorporate the feedback, work back on it, I share it with my Twitter and LinkedIn network. I won't share it as a big project. I'll just share it like I've been working on this project for solving this problem. Anyone wants to try, and people will reach out. Yes, I want to try. Yes, I want to try. So then share a link with them. They'll use it and they'll give you another feedback. So once you do all these things, that's when you are ready for a product hunt launch. So product hunt this is a website where hundreds of people are on the platform, right? So every day you can see new products and you can launch yours and people use it. So it's a free tool that you can use to get users to your thing, right? And like if you see my products, so I've launched this copier some time back. So when we launched it, we were the number one product of the day, and almost 400 people have upvoted for this. And right now we have around 6,000 users on this particular tool. And every single user have come from Product Hunt for me. And that is 6,000 users from one platform and with like very limited investment. It's like 0 rupees and 1 hour of time investment. So Product Hunt is a pretty good tool where you can ask people to check out and share things. And the next one is Hacker News. So Hacker News is also a cool one, but generally Hacker News will work only after you have some users. So if you have good users, you got good users from Product Hunt, that's when you need to launch it on Hacker News. And there are other two things, which is cold emails and partnerships. So by cold emails, I mean, there are multiple people around in YouTube talking about good products. So you can just send an email saying that hey, I'm working on this cool project. Can do you want to feature this on your podcast or YouTube or anything? So people do help you in those ways. That will get you more users and that will get you build more network. The same with partnerships. So you can partner with any influencers or anything, pay them some amount of money and ask them to talk about your tool. So this is in progression. So you just have to start with friends and looking at the result of friends, then you go to Twitter, then Product Hunt, then Hacker News, then cold emails. And that's when you invest more time and build partnerships, right? So when you're doing this, everyone understands your skills, right? They'll understand that you are good at XYZ thing or you're good at this thing and that thing. So when they want some requirement or when they know someone is looking out for someone with the similar skill set, they will connect you with them. So that is important for you to do this cold emails and partnerships. And lastly, until unless you calculate the impact, there is nothing that you could do, right? So first thing first, whenever you build a project, track every single thing, every single interaction, every single thing. Use Google Analytics, there are multiple tools that you can use, but track everything. So when someone comes and asks you, you have built this tool, what did you learn? Or what is a stats? You should be able to tell it, right? And then from the project, you need to understand, okay, I have built this feature, I've built this thing, did it work or did it not? That insight is more important than what you learn while building, right? That insight will help you as a product manager when you build bigger products, right? And third thing, you need to share your impact that you have created to people. You need to tell people that my project has XYZ users and it has done this, it has done that. Okay, that's when people will understand, right, building projects and they have the skills to see the impact. And so another thing is, like, whenever you build projects, you release it, people talk to you saying that like, I have had similar ideas or I have done this, can you help me with this? Please help them. It will build a network with others in the same industry which you're interested in. So people will reach out to you later or in future, any place when they need some help, right? And lastly, build upon your previous projects. So let's say you built one project now and you launched it. After some time, when you get any external ideas, just come back and build on top of that. So that will make your thinking directional. So like, let's say I have built Copier, and after Copier I built multiple Chrome extensions, and now my other latest knowledge, the skill I have as a Chrome extension builder, helps me build better Copier version. So I'll come back and build on that, right? So that is the most important thing. So yeah, that is about the entire building process. So do you guys have any questions?
So the audience can put their questions in the chat box, and I'll filter out the relevant questions for you, and you can answer them.
Sure.
So we have a question.
Yeah,
Can you tell us what Copier solved for?
sure. So let's say the problem is very simple. So when you go to career websites, right? Any career page, they ask you to fill a lot of details like name, phone number, email, LinkedIn profile, Twitter profile, XYZ, biodata, and all those things. And most of the cases, it's the same thing. Like any website you go, you fill the same details again and again. And for every details you don't want to type. So Copier is a small Chrome extension, which gives you capabilities to use shortcuts, keyboard shortcuts, and directly paste the content that you want to. So previously, for the same LinkedIn profile link, you take 5, 6 clicks. Right now, with just 2 clicks, your link is copied and pasted in the required field. So that is what Copier has done.
So we have another question.
Yeah.
What's the quickest side project you built? How important would you consider user and market research before building the prototype?
Yeah, honestly, I love building projects. So like even for if no one is going to use it, I just build it. So as I said, the Wordle starts one, right? So once I'm having a coffee with one of my friend, and he was saying that today I got 4 by 5, and I got 5 by 5. So then we were discussing here there should be some way for Wordle to share my results and see the results. So we were like, why don't we do it? So we just sat together, we opened Retool, we built it in 2 hours, and then after we built it, we just shared it across Twitter and LinkedIn, and people were like happy to use it. But first thing, I've not asked anyone if they would use it. Second thing, we have not thought of we have not done any research whether something like this exists before or not. It doesn't matter. The purpose of me building the project is to have fun and just to share it across with my network. So as simple as that. It took me like around 2.5 hours to build and release that project.
So we have another question.
Yeah.
Should it be a complete project or the piece of code is also enough for a side project?
So let's see, the purpose of projects is different, right? So let's say if you are a product manager and you want to tell people that you have required product management skills, then it has to be complete project. It can't be just a piece of code, right? But if suppose say you just want to learn things or you just want to for you to work with the tool, then yeah, small project or a incomplete project with just piece of code will also work. For example, when I started, right, when the copier idea was there for me, I just wanted LinkedIn profile to be copy pasted. So I built an extension in like just to copy LinkedIn profile. But after some time, I was like, okay, this is not something only, not everyone wants on LinkedIn profile. They want multiple things. That's when I went ahead and built, next step of it, where you can add your own links that you want to copy. So it's as like that.
Yes. So Prerna wants to ask, so if we should take this project by our own initiative or should we build it for some company?
So if a company is ready to sponsor, definitely yes, go with the company approach because they're going to help you with resources and money. But let's say if no company is reaching out, then ideally you should build your own ideas. And once you build enough ideas, companies will definitely reach out to you. You don't have to worry about it. But ideally, I would prefer companies' ideas rather than my idea.
So you were talking about Copier being a Chrome extension. So
Right.
what all are the coding skills we need to make such a Chrome extension?
So honestly, when I started building that, I also didn't know. I was a software engineer at Citi. I know JavaScript, but I don't know anything about Chrome extensions. So yeah, like JavaScript was the basic skill that is required to build Chrome extensions. And then I've watched a couple of videos online and I've seen some documentations online, and that's how I started building that.
So Krishnan wants to ask if side project will be possible for uh, like for other things also like life science. So how can they show their side project?
By life science, you meant cooking and all? So sorry, I don't know the term life science.
Yeah, Krishnan, you can make your question more clear in the chat box. Like DNA.
Yeah, you can write, like you can start a newsletter explaining people what your content is, what your skills was. That will also be a side project.
Yeah. So Sarthak wants to ask if there was some inspiration behind you building this projects, or like anyone on the social media suggested you to do that.
Not really. So, like as I said, I love building stuff for myself. So apart from this, I've built multiple other tools for myself. So yeah, like it's not from someone else. I just get idea for myself and I build it for myself. And if people sees value in it, then they use it. If they don't see it, only I am the customer for it.
Also, sir, if after we make a project, how do I communicate, and how do we showcase it to potential recruiters, and how to uh, show it in our resume?
Right. So when you write resume, right, like you need to mention the impact the project have done. So in my resume, if you see, I have this section called side projects. So it's very clear for anyone who is coming to my resume, see side projects, and there are a list of projects. For every single project, there is a link that they can go and see it in action. And along with that, I write that number of users is this many people. Like I have spent this much money and I got this much money. So I write it in that way. So when you're building a project, you need to calculate track the impact and show it in the resume. Only impact will attract recruiters to you. Only just doing some project will not.
Sahil wants to ask if recruiters value side projects more than product case studies.
Yes, I mean, so it depends on the recruiter again. So if you are going to some startups, if you want to join a startup, there people will prefer side projects more than product case studies, right? Because side project is something that you have, I mean, done from end to end, right? So you have ideated, you have executed it, and you have shipped it. But when it comes to product case study, you have just ideated. You don't know what went wrong or what didn't go wrong in the product case study. So if you're going for a startup, people will value more if you have side projects rather than case studies.
So after we build a project, how to get our surveys done if we don't have a direct contact with the product's audience?
Good question. So you just need to be creative in finding the audience. So for Copier, the audience was people who are applying for jobs, right? So I just ran some ads on LinkedIn. Whoever is applying for jobs, they used to see Copier ad. So that is a simple way to do that. And like it's just that you need to be creative in your launching strategy. Let's say you build something for students, you just have to reach out in your college to your juniors batch, your seniors, and all those. But most common service is Product Hunt, LinkedIn, and Twitter.
So, does the value of a side project declines if the credit of the project is shared by some people? Like if we build a project with our friends, does it value decrease?
Not really. It doesn't decrease until and unless there are people. Let's say you have worked on developing the project, so you should be clear that you have developed the project. It can't be like so you have developed it and then you have ideated and all. So if your part is only developed, then show it as you have developed. But the problem with including many people, right? Everyone has different ideology when it coming to build projects. So, and just it will be a lot of people in one idea and everyone has their own thoughts. So you don't really go in one direction until and unless you have people who match your bandwidth and who match your, idea level. Only then I would suggest you to go with your friends. Otherwise, don't have to.
Harsh wants to ask if how to prioritize different tasks while making a side project.
Okay, so by different task, is it, there are hundreds of development tasks or something like that? What exactly is trying to ask? Harsh, can you repeat? So I'll just
Yeah,
assume that.
we can move to the next question in the meantime.
Sure.
So Siddhant wants to ask, are there any freelance product opportunities available in industry which can end as a side project?
Sorry, can you just repeat the question?
Are there any freelance product opportunities available in industry which can end up in a side project?
Ah, interesting. I have not encountered any such project till date, which are like, freelancing plus side projects, but there might be.
Yeah, so Harsh wants to ask how to prioritize the different developmental tasks in side projects.
Right. So, okay, if that's the question. So, like in development, when you're, so there is always this one core functionality that you want to build, right? I would suggest to build that first. That is the most important thing. And then come to things that makes the user flow proper. So let's say you want to build login, you want to add some onboarding tasks and all. This should be your second step. But if your core step is to provide people to, let's say, people to copy things, so first build that functionality, then build the user flow, like from starting to end, and then third step should be adding UI to it, like making it beautiful, making it usable, making it intuitive and all. So this is the flow I prioritize. So I just build the core functionality first, share it with people, let them use it, parallelly build the user flow, and then last may you prioritize the look and feel of the project.
So as a product manager, can we hire developers to do the task of coding, and how much value does it create in a resume?
You can definitely hire product managers, sorry, developers, but I would suggest you to like, so when you are hiring someone to execute one part of it, you need to provide clarity to them, and the clarity you provide is through a PRD or some strategy document. So as a product manager, you need to write this PRD and share it in the resume. That's when people will be like, okay, even if you don't build it, you have written PRD, which is what the engineer have, the developer has implemented. So that's how you prove your work that this is my idea. This is how I wanted to execute. The developer has just came and developed the project.
Yeah, so we can wait for a few more minutes for the audience
Sure,
to ask some more questions.
sure, sure. Go for it.
Yeah, so one question is if you can suggest some books which can contribute in developing as a product manager.
There are multiple books, I would say. So different topics have different things. Recently, I've seen this book called Drive, which helps you be so like as a product manager, right? You need to influence a lot of people, and you need to influence people in a good way to move your projects faster. So Drive is a book which helps you do that. So it explains you what kind of things are there and how can you drive better results, better projects and all. That is one book I would suggest. And yesterday, one of my colleagues have shown this book called Lateral Thinking, which talks about creativity and innovation. So as a product manager, you have to be creative and innovative when it comes to solutionizing or solving any problems. So that is one good book he has suggested me. So I think you guys would also love it. Yeah.
Yeah,
These
thanks
are
for
two
the
books that I know
recommendation,
right
sir.
now. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, Anush has a doubt if on how can one protect their projects in case the partner with with whom they made the projects tries to copy it and claim it as their own.
Uh, so in the first place, you should not be doing projects with such people, because if you're doing a project with someone who wants to take the entire credit, I don't think it's a good match with the person. So avoid such kind of people. And if suppose say that happened, uh, like you just have to ask the tough question. You have to prove it. I mean, so even if they just show it off that they have done the project, but at the end they don't know what they have done. They don't know what learnings they have, and they don't know what is the impact. If you are clear on these fronts, then it's good to go. You don't have to worry about it, but avoid it as much as possible.
what to do if we don't know if a product already exists and we come up with something similar? So do we get a copyright claim? Like we made a project on something that was already there, but we weren't aware about it.
I mean, you can deal with it. It's like, as you're doing it for a side project, right? So you can, if they reach out to you, you can tell that, I have not seen this tool before, so we have built it. And it's very rarely that this happens because every product has the taste of you. So if you're building a product, the product is from, like, you develop a taste and you have the product taste in that, and someone builds it, they might build it in a different way. I mean, it might be solving the same problem, but the ways are different. So it's very rare that copyright problems come. That is number one. And number two, even if it happens, you need to talk to the other person and solve it. It won't be a very big problem. Um, and there is one more thing here, and there might be cases where they will file cases on you because of plagiarism. If you don't do that, then it's okay. So just don't go and copy end to end from one particular place. Right? Taking inspiration is different. Copying it end to end is different. Inspiration is fine. People won't have any issues with it. But copying it end to end, downloading their code base and then using it as your project is not something you should be doing.
So I don't think we have any more questions. We'll
Awesome.
wait for another minute. If someone wants to ask
Sure.
something, they can ask it.
Sure. Sure.
So I think we should wrap up. That was
Cool.
an amazing and very insightful session from you, sir. I think
Thank
everyone
you.
was hooked to their screens throughout the session. I don't think that building this side projects will ever be a demanding task for our audience. So I extend my gratitude towards you on the behalf of entire ESL and all the audience present here. I con- I wish you all the best for your incredible journey.
Thank you. Thanks, Mohit. Thanks, ESL team. See you guys.
Thank you, sir.